My neighbor made me homemade fresh thin mints. So good. Probably shouldn't be eating this if I'm trying to record. Oh, let's just get here. I want to show you how I made these fur pillow covers. Just a little note before we get into it. If you are working with the fur, if you have a rectangle pillow, then be mindful as to what direction you want this fur to be going in. Another tip for you is cutting the new cover the same size as it is currently. So whatever size your pillow is today that you're using, you cut that and don't add seam allowance. So it creates a tighter fit for that pillow and it looks fuller, so you don't have a bunch of loose fabric on the edge. Cut it at size, stuff it in there, and it comes out looking good. All the furs that I use are man-made furs and manufactured furs. As the pleather, it is manufactured fake leather. It's not real. It's actually really cheap stuff that I get. I don't even get the good pleather. I get the bad one. Measure the pillow you'll be working with. Mine is an 18.5-inch square pillow. Do not add seam allowance. If you're working with the rectangle pillow, you'll need to determine which way you need your fur to go. Since I'm working with a square pillow, I am just going to lay the fur right side down. So I measured out and marked my 18.5-inch square. And then I took some sharp fabric scissors, and they do need to be sharp because you're really going to only use the tip of the scissors to cut through, not the entire blade. So you don't want to use a rotary tool because that will cut through the length of the hair of the fur, and we're cutting with the fur face down and then using the tip of the scissors just to cut the lining. So it sounds like a fussy way to cut the fur, but honestly it is the best way so that you have a really good quality finish when you're done with your project. It also is a really good way to minimize the possibility of you becoming a werewolf and having fur everywhere. So the next step is you kind of want to pull any loose hairs off from the cut you made, and this will just help again to keep the fur from flying everywhere. So now you need two back pieces to create the envelope backing of this pillow. My pillow was 18.5 inches squared, so I need two rectangle pieces that measure 18.5 inches height by 13.25 inches wide. How I got that number is my pillow was 18.5 inches, so I took that and divided it by 2, which gave me 9.25, and then I added 4, which gave me 13.25. The reason you're adding 4 is you need 3 inches for the overlap, and then you need 1 inch for your rolled hem. So what I like to do is have my panels with the right sides facing down, and then I hem the inside of each panel. So the two center parts of the panel I'm going to roll over 1/2 inch and then roll it again over 1/2 inch so that the raw edge is hidden, and sew it down. Once that's sewn, all you're going to do is take your fur and have it right side facing up, and then you're going to take the height and match that with the edge of the height of the back panel with right sides touching. You want to make sure the panel you choose to pin first is the panel you would like shown the most on your finished product. Alright, so the best way I know to tuck the fur hair in is to push it down towards the center and then line the edge of the back lining of the fur to the edge of your cut back panel, and I kind of just rubbed it up into place, but I had pushed the fur down towards the center and then just added a pin, and again just add more pins so that the hair in the fur stays down. Your corners might get tricky, but again, just do your best to push the fur towards the center of the pillow and pin. You can always pull out hair. That's kind of where I had the hair tuck into the stitch. You can always pull that out before you cut anything off. I have my first panel all the way pinned down. If you run out of pins, you can stitch this down first, or if you just prefer to stitch it down first, it is your choice. However, I am going to go ahead and throw on my second panel, and again, it is right sides touching, so the fur is face up, and then my panels are right sides facing down. This overlap is going to happen. This is why it's called an envelope pillowcase. When I pin my fur tucked in all the way around, I am going to go through this overlap and remove the pins and then repin so that I'm pinning all 3 layers. So you're just going to sew all the way around the square, making your turns in the corners. But at this point, after you've sewn everything, you do not want to cut all your loose fur. You're just going to clip the corners. So clip the corners, but do not make it close to your point. You actually want to give it more room because you don't want to thin out that corner where your pillow might be pushing. So clip the corner, but just not too sharp. The reason I tell you not to cut the fur before is when you turn it right side out, you'll get to see if there's any fur that's been tucked into the seam, like sewn into the seam. And if that's the case, a lot of my corners were kind of sewn into the seam, and taking a pin, or I take my small scissors and I can pull out that hair just a few strands at a time, and it'll give it a better finished look than having this fur like sewn into the seam. So after you pull out the fur, you can turn it again wrong sides out and then cut anything that needs to be cut, turning it right sides out, and then stuff the pillow in, and you are done. For my fur, so this sewing DIY ended up being so easy that I ended up complicating it for myself, because that's what I like to do, and using up all my scraps and creating these pillows. Scrap furs, scrap cotton, scrap knits, scrap leather, and I just kind of pieced them together to create a pillow cover. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different furs. They came out really great, and it was the same idea of the envelope pillowcase. I sewed everything together and then cut out my form. It was a great way to add warmth and texture and a Christmas feel to my couch. Let me know what you think of my transformation. Let me know if you give it a try. Don't forget to thumb us up, speak, and spread it. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the notification button because I do have some more coming up for you. Merry Christmas. God bless. Bye-bye. Hi, Mama. Merry Christmas.